City and Bayern plan a swap deal. Hazard calls for patience. Bundesliga leaders save their competitors. A transfer roundup and today's Thursday favourites. All coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. First off, and there's apparently a swap deal that is going to go down, and it's a pretty big one. It's between Manchester City's Leroy Sane and Bayern Munich's David Alaba. Now, both of them have been linked with moves away from their respective clubs, mainly because, well, their contracts are running out next summer. In fact, Sane has been linked to Bayern Munich for literally the last year or so. And with David Alaba, it looks like recent reports link him with a move to Barcelona or Real Madrid. According to the club, he doesn't necessarily want to move to the Premier League, but could be tempted. I'm guessing that's as if there's enough money on the table. Anyway, what it actually would represent is a pretty good swap deal for both sides. Now, I know Sane is probably worth more and a few years younger, but David Alaba by no means is getting old. In fact, he's 27. He's entering the prime years of his career. From Manchester City's side, I think Alaba would be a good signing. Left back is definitely a position they've struggled with. They bought in Angelino, then shipped him out on loan to Leipzig. Zinchenko seems to be good, but maybe not world-class level, and Benjamin Mendy may be at that level, but is constantly injured. Along with this, Alaba definitely has all the attributes to be a top Pep Guardiola player because he loves someone who is versatile. We've seen with Fabian Delph, who was turned from centre-back into a stunning left-back for Man City a few seasons ago. Alaba's comfortable at left-back, centre-back, as he's done for Bayern this year, central midfield, and even left wing as well. Of course, he's not going to directly replace Leroy Sane, but should everything go poorly, Alaba's a pretty good option to have. I think he'd fit in really well with the squad and is clearly a talented player. Alongside this, they've obviously still got Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling, and loads of other players to play in those positions should Sane leave the club. If he does leave, this is also a good signing for Bayern Munich. After Robben and Ribery left the club, well, it was up to Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman to carry the torch for fantastic wingers in the south of Germany. Unfortunately, Kingsley Coman is constantly injured, which just means that Gnabry has to do it himself. And Gnabry-Sane German lineup either side of Robert Lewandowski, that is definitely something to be feared. Of course, at the moment, they've also got Alphonso Davies, who could pretty much do the whole left-hand side by himself. But obviously, it would still be a massive benefit to have Sane in front of him. Along with this, the whole point of a swap deal is also they won't cost as much money. Yes, they are losing money still because they're letting a player go, but instead of paying over 100 million, which is the price quoted for Sane, Bayern may get off with around, 40, 50, 60 million. I'm just quoting this just off the top of my head, but could still be a good deal. Moving on though, and to another big deal which hasn't gone so well, and that is Eden Hazard's transfer to Real Madrid. Last summer, the former Chelsea man joined Los Blancos, and well, I think it's fair to say his first season hasn't exactly gone to plan. Yes, there's been injuries, but there was also questions over his weight when he joined in the summer, and just generally his form on the pitch hasn't been so amazing. So what has Hazard done? He's come out and said give him patience, give him time, and allow him to see his best form next season. For me, it's going to sound a little bit harsh. I'm not buying it. Like, they spent, 100 million on him? 27, 28 years old, in the prime of his career, already a world-class player. You don't want a season to bed in. Real Madrid, you're playing for Real Madrid, they need results now. They're spending 100 million on a player who's in his prime because he's one of the best in the world. You can't be giving them a season to settle in. Like, I know Hazard's obviously saying that to, give Real Madrid fans hope. They haven't seen the best of him. Certainly they haven't. And that he'll be back to his top form next season. And if he is, good on him. He'll be the player that everyone knows that he can be and that Real Madrid fans are expecting. But really, every time you move club, you need a year to hit the ground running. I know injuries aren't his fault, but I think he maybe does take some of the blame as well. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, every single transfer that happens for big players, they need a year to settle in. I know it's a different league, but still, come on. You're playing like at one of the best in the league. Like, you probably would struggle to sort of change to the intensity and the pace of the game and all sorts against Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and one or two others. The rest of them, Hazard should definitely be showing up a lot more. But what do I know? Anyway, moving on and to some actually good news in this time of bad coronavirus news. That comes from the Bundesliga. Yet again, Germany showing the way forward when it comes to forward thinking. So the four teams in the Champions League, Leverkusen, Leipzig, Dortmund and Bayern Munich, have all agreed to give a share of their money to the competitors in the Bundesliga. In the last few weeks, there's been loads of talks that some of the clubs may actually struggle to see out of this crisis because of their finances. Basically, without playing any football matches or taking any gate receipts and any TV money sadly, a lot of clubs are going to struggle. So it's amazing that the Big Four have not only foregone their 12.5 million that they were set to earn from the rest of the TV rights, but they've also added in 7.5 million euros of their own. This means there is a pot of 80 million euros to be spread between the rest of the Bundesliga and the second Bundesliga as well, the division below. This is obviously massive because it helps German football keep their competitors and keep their top two divisions. What it doesn't do, because the Bundesliga doesn't run over the third league and below, is basically help some of the smaller teams in Germany. Now, I get it, in an idealistic world, all the rich would give all the money to the poor. That's kind of what socialism is verging on. But it doesn't exactly work that way. And although it's really sad that a few clubs lower down might go out of existence, and there definitely needs to be a plan in place, I'm not sure they can definitely just call on absolutely everybody to give them money. Elsewhere, though, what the Spanish Football Federation have done is set up a fund of around 500 million where they plan to give it out to loads of teams in Spanish football, all the way down to the amateurs. This, they'll be asking to be repaid over the next 5 years, so it helps them stay afloat for now, obviously while the coronavirus is still going on. Like Robin Hood here, take from the rich and give to the poor. Haven't seen that film in a long time. So next up, to a quick roundup of the rest of the transfer news, where Leicester City are interested in Atalanta's Belgian defender Timothy Castagne. Apparently, Leeds owner Andrea Radrizzani tried to sign Edison Cavani and Zlatan Ibrahimovic for Leeds in January to aid their push for promotion to the Premier League. Dayot Upamecano is tempted to leave Leipzig in the summer and may even hand in a transfer request should no clubs meet his €60 million release clause. And lastly but not least, Manuel Neuer is not happy with the latest contract offer from Bayern Munich, which could spell the end of his time with the club. So lastly but not least, Thursday favourites. What on earth is this, you're asking? Well, to try and keep you entertained during the coronavirus, we're adding a few more bits into our daily news, and this is where you guys can get involved. Every single week, you can ask me about a top 5 list. This could be, Matt, what is your list of 5 best ever stadiums, your 5 favourite strikers in the world, your 5 funniest moments in football, anything? Let me know in the comments section and we'll pick one every single Thursday. I'm going to kick things off this week with my 5 favourite players that I've seen play live. Of course, there's loads of amazing players on this list, and it makes me kind of sad that I never got to see the likes of the original Ronaldo, Alessandro Del Piero and Francesco Totti live. But I was fortunate enough to see quite a few. The first off being David Ginola. Literally an unbelievable footballer who definitely made me fall in love with football when I first started going to watch Spurs, and he just did some magical things, including, I do remember, an unbelievable goal against Manchester United in the League Cup. And talking of Manchester United, the second on my list is Cristiano Ronaldo. He came to Spurs a few times with United and Real Madrid and was literally unbelievable. Even when he wasn't scoring or assisting, just watching him on the field, his footwork, his pace, it was just electrifying to see him in the Premier League. Moving on, and this is actually in no particular order, but number 3, it pains me to say, was Dennis Bergkamp. The Arsenal forward was just magical. Literally everything opposite to Cristiano Ronaldo. There wasn't much pace about Bergkamp, wasn't sort of an electrifying player, but what a footballing brain. A magic touch, and everything he did just looked so silky smooth. Definitely, as much as it pains me to say, one of my favourite to watch live. The next one is Gareth Bale. Again, obviously you guys know by now, used to go to a lot of Spurs games, and Bale was incredible. First off, that 2012-13 season, his loss to Spurs was ridiculous. He practically won Spurs all of their points. Actually, a fun fact, scoring the most goals in a season from outside the box of any player in Premier League history, with 9 of his 21 strikes coming from outside the 18-yard box. But along with this, I was also lucky enough to be at the San Siro when Gareth Bale scored a hat-trick against Inter Milan in a 4-3 defeat in Spurs' Champions League run in 2010-11. It was absolutely incredible. And talking of the Champions League, the final one, my favourite player to see live, David Beckham. I mean, there probably isn't an English kid who grew up in the mid-90s who didn't completely idolise Becks. And as well as seeing him play for Manchester United, I also saw him play for Real Madrid against Rosenborg. Really kind of odd team to watch them play against in the Champions League back in 2004 or 5. Basically, they won 4-1, Beckham scored a free kick, he was magical, and yeah, it's just David Beckham. It's just such a pleasure to see him live. Also playing that night was Zinedine Zidane, although he didn't have the greatest of games. But hey, still a quality player. So there you have it. Let me know your 5 favourite players that you've watched live of all time, and let me know what else you want to talk about on our Thursday favourites. Leave that in the comment section below along with your thoughts on the rest of today's daily news. Whilst you're there, you can smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys later.